fiction we created so we could get around the problem. Well, that's what it did with Quiet and Titles Act, and it's creating a lot of injustice. And there's no land to be possessed. You know, Mr. Pinman said there's more land to be possessed, but they gave it all away to Albany. They gave it to Bahamas, down there in Mayguana. If they go to Auckland's, because all my people in Auckland's up here, I tell you what, not one grain of sand from Pompey Bay, not one coral rock from Pompey Bay should they touch. Ain't nobody there, you know. Everybody's here in Nassau. But you know, one thing my uncles taught me, my Uncle Saif, is this is nonsense what's happening with the land. It is really the people's land. Give the people the land. So he went and took the land. He went up to Andres and he drove in a truck. He said, look at all this vacant land. He said, he suck his teeth, say this ain't crown land. This is the people's land, and he took possession of it. But that's what we need to do as a people, take possession of the land. We live in Nassau. All our children and their children are growing up in Nassau. They're divorced from the reality of the land. If food crisis broke out in the Bahamas today, we have 1 week of food supply. Nothing else. In 1 week, you become eating my rats. In 2 weeks, you come eating my dogs. In 3 weeks, you come in to eat my daughter sitting there. In 4 weeks, you come in to eat my wife. In 5 weeks, you're going to get my auntie first because she's more tender than me. But then by the 6th week, you come in for me. You see, because there's nothing else to eat. This is the product of our land tenure system we have in the Bahamas.
Hanna, does the issue of generation land apply equally to loyalists, people of loyalist foundations, as well as black people from Africa?
No, the generation property arrangement is an African land tenure. That's the way Africans hold land. In Africa, there's no concept of alienation of land. That's a European construct. The loyalists were given commonage. And one of the reasons for the creation of the commonage was the presence of the loyalists, because they were being rewarded for their faithfulness to the crown during the American Civil War and the Lutheran. They were given land grants, but it was a seat of conflict for them.
The generation property arose because the loyalists left that land.
Yeah, because when the plantation economy collapsed, the slaves moved into the land. Like my first wife's family, the Rolls, they're probably the most famous ones for doing this. They have a myth that Lord Roll granted them the land. It's a false myth. Lord Roll was an absentee slave owner. He was the largest absentee slave owner in the history of the region. He had slaves all over the region. But when he died and his executors came to possess the land, well, Pompey had already, and from during slavery, Pompey's time, they had already had this concept that they owned the land. So they administered it by generation property. After slavery was, after emancipation, there was constant conflict between the government. As a matter of fact, they say the road slaves were the most troublesome in the apprenticeship period, that gap between full emancipation. And there were constant military incursions in Exuma. But the Roll family, by their possessory title of occupation of the land, could not be displaced. And they sent a commissioner from England, and he did a survey of the possession. And that is when they passed the Commonage Act. So the Loyalists had, partially for the Loyalists the Act was passed, but it was also partially passed to accommodate this possessory seizure of the plantations. And the Farquharsons in San Salvador, they also had similar seizures of the land. And they were given commonage. So the Roll land and the Farquharson land is under commonage, and that's legally protected. The Act provides for governance, but Simonet talks about the... Next.
Well, thanks very much, Dion. Very, very interesting speech. Poetical, yet very factual, and gives us a lot of food for thought. So that's this evening. Next week, as I say, the 14th, the annual general meeting. I'd like to see you all out. April, sorry to say your membership are due again if you haven't paid your membership again, or we welcome new members. My wife or the two more at the back can take your monies and sign you up. Thanks for coming out, and have a very nice evening. Thank you.